All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our August business update. My name is Jessica Willis, and I am the director of the Youngsville Chamber of Commerce. First, before I give some chamber updates, I would like to thank our guest speaker today, Mayor Ken Ritter. We are so happy to have you. Thank you for always participating in all of our chamber events. And we're very excited to hear a bunch of city updates from you. So as soon as I go through a few chamber updates, we'll be hearing from Mayor Ritter. First, I would like to congratulate the winner of our 2021 scholarship, Miss Sophia Spadoni. She is a 2021 graduate from Southside High School, and she will be attending UL this fall. Every year, the Chamber awards a scholarship. This is going to be available to any of our Chamber members, their employees, or their children. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, it's something that we do annually. And I just wanted to congratulate Miss Sophia Spadoni for being our winner this year. Next, I want to congratulate and welcome some of our newest members to join the Chamber of Commerce here in Youngsville. We have Misfits Dine and Drink, Total Network Technologies, Acadiana Medicare Plans, Hotworks, and Not Your Average Wood Shop. Hotworks is a new business that is going to be opening soon in Youngsville. It is an infrared technology workout facility, and just be on the lookout. They plan to open in the next couple of months, but they are doing pre-memberships right now. So go and follow them on Facebook, go pass by and give them a visit. They'll be opening soon. All right, so now thank you again, Mayor Ritter, for being here today. We're excited to hear your city updates, so you can start whenever you're ready.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's a privilege to be here with all of you today. I'm so sorry that we couldn't meet in person, but I'm always proud to speak about the city that we all love and the progress that's happening within the city. So I appreciate the opportunity that the Chamber is affording me today. First, I want to acknowledge Jessica. I understand it's her second year anniversary as the director of the Youngsville Chamber. And I know that I can speak for the membership and for the board as well, that you are a true pleasure to work with. You're a partner. I enjoy our relationship and continue the great work. So it's certainly noticed and appreciated. So keep up the great work, Jessica. The other thing I want to mention, if you were unable to go to the last Chamber meeting, unfortunately, I was unable to attend. To learn more about the Certified Suite program, I would encourage everyone that has a local product to learn more from the Youngsville Chamber. Any opportunity that we have to promote Youngsville and its products and its retail space, whether they're operating from a storefront or from a home front, gives us great opportunity to not only network, or not only to promote your product, but also to promote the great things here within the city of Youngsville. So I want to applaud Mike Williams and the entire team for coming up with what is a tremendous marketing campaign and just a lot of great things that are in store to happen with that. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge if there's any Leadership Class 2 participants that are watching us today or that may watch it later once it's through the live stream. Once it's recorded, every time I'm engaged with someone that's a participant of Leadership Youngsville, I'm reminded that the future of Youngsville is bright. I learned from you guys, hopefully just as much as you're learning different aspects about the city and how to make Youngsville an even more incredible place to be. So it's a pleasure getting to know you and look forward to the continued sessions for the remainder of the year. It's certainly a strange time that we're in. I don't have to tell you that. I'm meeting with you today remotely, but it's a strange time that we're in. But I can assure you that the vibrancy of Youngsville has never been stronger, and how focused I am on ensuring that we don't take our success for granted. Today, there's approximately 2,800 home sites under various stages of development within the city of Youngsville. Those are from the preliminary plat stage, where the council's already given them a green light to proceed with their design, or it also could encompass those home sites that have already received their construction plan approval and are designing home sites for the future. A lot of times when I share that number with people, 2,800 home sites, it kind of gives a little bit of pause to some to ask, how are we going to handle it all? How are the roads going to handle it? And what happens next? Well, I want to assure you from the city planning perspective and from the city council, we are working diligently to ensure that standards are continuously raised. One of our mantras is continuous improvement. We want to ensure that new developments that are coming into the community, or to the city of Youngsville rather, are developments that answer the question as far as, is this going to be your 30-year home site? I was one of the guys that came to Youngsville in 2006 because of affordable new housing, but I've been fortunate to graduate into a larger home because we've had the right mix of homes in our community and the right developers. So our obligation has really been to continue to raise the standards, push back, and ensure that developers are bringing us products that are going to be marketable. Simply put, everything looks great when it's new. We want to make certain that what is the long-term effect? What is this going to look like 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road? We want to make sure that you have 30-year mortgage options here in the city of Youngsville. So I know that 2,800 home sites can give a little bit of concern, but know that we're looking diligently here at every opportunity to ask ourselves, how can we push the needle even further, and how can we make it a more enjoyable place to live with options for you that don't just simply consist of starter home sites. Also, despite there being a strange time in the city of Youngsville right now, I'm always pleased to report, and this is something that I think our business community would be particularly interested in, is how strong our sales tax collections are. I don't have to tell a room of business leaders that the impact of shopping local and all the significant things that can happen once we do shop local. We just got our feedback in from our first month of sales tax earnings, our sales tax report. In that first month of the fiscal year, we're up 26.4% year over year for the fiscal year. To put it in perspective, the council adopted a budget providing a 5% sales tax growth year over year. So 26.4 after the first month. And if you look at what that percentage is for our 2-year growth, it's 53.7% growth over a 2-year period. That's only 1 month, so we don't certainly want to get too excited about it, but I do think it's a good indicator of something to share, to speak to the health and the vibrancy of our community, the business community, and also the consumer confidence of our residents to shop here locally. Since it's only 1 month, I'll share that our fiscal year in June 2020, our sales tax collections were up nearly 22%. And over a 2-year period, then it was nearly 30% at 28.8%. So what we're seeing, I don't think, is an anomaly any longer. What we're seeing is more goods and services being available here closer to home. So for all the entrepreneurs that are choosing to open a business, invest here locally, it's paying off dividends for our residents. And also for those of you that are choosing to stay home and shop more locally and have packages sent to your house, we are seeing the impact of that. Briefly about our budget, I mentioned it was 5% increase year over year. It is worth noting that we do believe that was a conservative estimate, but please know that our fund balances remain healthy for any unexpected expenses that we may incur. Unfortunately, we're embarking the busy time for hurricane season, and hopefully we can get through with it without any major disaster cleanups or things of that nature. But we do keep healthy fund balance reserves in the event that we have events like that. So my feedback to you is that the vibrancy of the community is stronger than ever. So what does that mean for you? What does it mean to have 2,800 home sites in various stages of development? And what does that mean for you to hear that our sales tax growth continues at double digits? And when you look at even the 2-year increase over a year, what does that mean? Well, what it means simply is that we can provide more services for you. We have a myriad of public projects that are underway today throughout the city of Youngsville. What's worked to our disadvantage, unfortunately, is that we've had a very wet year. But I think it was about 2 weeks ago, or maybe, I don't know, 10 days ago, I checked the radar, or not radar, I checked the rain gauge at my house. And at my house, I had over 65 inches of rainfall year to date. And if you Google Youngsville average rainfall, it's about 63 inches. What does that mean for you? What it means for you is that the road projects are delayed in many cases because contractors haven't had ideal conditions to work within. What you can expect over the next fiscal year that just started July, road improvements of approaching $7 million, including nearly $2 million of state capital outlay dollars that we're finally going to be improving Youngsville Highway. The survey and the design on that project's already underway, where there'll be 3-lane in Youngsville Highway from Hart to Farm at the Youngsville city limits into the area of New News, where the 8992 clock roundabout is. You're also going to see planning occurring for a new east-west connector from Fortune Road at Youngsville Highway to meet the city limits of Broussard, to provide another east-west connector instead of just Hart to Farm, Griffin Road, and then also 92. Everyone, I'm sure, knows that our 10th roundabout is under construction today at Savoy and Shimenmetairie. And if you've seen some of our recent posts over the last week or two, we're trying to get as much work done as we can this week before school starts. Many people have asked, like, why didn't you wait until school? There's never a right time to do road construction. One of the questions we're asked often is, why are you waiting so late in the summer to do this project? Or why can't you wait until, it's always something. And I can tell you that balancing the myriad of projects that we have, contractor scheduling, and weather is a constant struggle for us. For those of you that are being inconvenienced with Shimenmettairie's reconstruction from Wild Rose to Piper Crest Lane or near Anslem Drive, we're expecting that the first lift of asphalt should go down today, the second tomorrow. I'm optimistic that road will be reopened to traffic this week. We took it a step further, and this week we have flagmen out on East Milton between Verod and Bonan. What they're doing is doing some patching of road deterioration in that area. We're just simply asking, if you don't need to be on that road, if you can take Savoy, if you can take Youngsville Highway to Fortune, to please do so, or just to simply expect delays. There are projects that we have postponed until the fall break or until other times that may be more conducive. So know that the objective is simply not to just make your life more miserable driving around Youngsville. There is a lot of thought put into when's the right time to do certain projects. And the goal is always to minimize the inconvenience, particularly for school traffic, since we see traffic counts spike up considerably during the months of school. One of the projects that we've decided to put on hold was our investment in the heart of the city through the Lafayette Church Street beautification and streetscape project and the sewer upgrades that are going to be happening in that area. It was very widely received as a popular project. We had several public hearings about it. That project's due to be bid in November, December, and our expectation is that work will commence immediately after the 2022 Mardi Gras parade, and that way they'll have a 12-month calendar year to finish that job. And we're really excited about reinvesting in the heart of our city. No matter how big we grow, we want to make sure that the core of our community is protected. And that's what you're seeing with the streetscape project that we have planned from the new municipal complex to Youngsville Middle School. And that project is one that we are ready to go, but we've just asked to put it on hold as to not be disruptive with so many projects happening at one time. The second thing I'll just touch on, this is something that's probably not of a lot of interest. I mean, the expectation, and a reasonable one, is that when you flush the toilet, it works, and when you turn your faucet on, that it works as well. But please know that your city council has allocated about $21 million to expand our not only water, but our sewer system. The sewer system construction over the next 2 years is going to ensure that the growth that we're experiencing through the next 2 decades is going to be accounted for. In addition, the water expansions will up to quadruple our daily production that we have today, and lessen our dependency on the water that we're purchasing wholesale through an agreement with LUS. I want to touch on drainage and a few other things, but the main event that I really want to talk to you about is what we're doing with Youngsville Sports Complex and Park and Recreation. So I'll get to that in a second. And then I'd also love to hear if you have any questions on your end about things that you'd like to see. Drainage projects update, I can tell you, hopefully it may sound like a broken record, but I can assure you that it's a 24/7 mindset. It's something that's not just being focused on during heavy rain events. The city of Youngsville has acquired or has the rights to, through drainage easements, nearly 85 acres of property on the three main channels through Youngsville that drain our community. Youngsville has been a pioneer in regional detention solutions, and we know that when they're completed and fully constructed, we know that the base flood elevation, which is basically an engineering phrase for what happens during a 100-year rain event, we know that that level can be effectively lowered by roughly a foot in most cases. And when you think about how many homes flooded in 2016, most people had less than a foot of water. So we know that these are tangible products that will make a significant difference once they're completed. They're happening all across our city. They're happening through federal dollars. They're happening through local funding that your local tax dollars are funding. And then they're also happening, which gives me one of the ones I'm most excited about, are the collection of public-private partnership projects that we're doing. And we still have some to announce. Those are the ones where we're doing the most aggressive work today because there's less red tape. We're just dealing with a private property owner, and there's less red tape in those particular situations, which is why we're doing more active digging in those areas. And those are particularly on the west side of our city in the Anslem drainage area. So the biggest question that I typically have right now is, you know, if you would ask me, Mayor, with all these great things going on, sales tax that continues to perform well, despite coming off of a year of the pandemic. We didn't know if the world was ending or what the particulars of that year would look like 12 months forward. Where do we go from here? Well, I'm here to tell you that you are fortunate to have a city council and a leadership team in Youngsville that are working on the same page. What does that mean? We're working on the same page to protect the reasons that make Youngsville such a desirable community to live in. We know that you have a choice in where to live. We know that you have a choice in where you can open a business. We know that you have a choice about where to raise your kids and send them to school. And we know you have a choice about where to send them for recreational opportunities. And those are responsibilities that, frankly, none of us want to take for granted. When you're told that there's 2,800 home sites under various stages of development in Youngsville, it gives me a lot of angst to ask myself, where will those kids play ball? Where will they learn t-ball? Where will they, will they be afforded the same opportunity that our kids have today? I can tell you that our water and our sewer and our roads are well prepared for the future growth of the city of Youngsville. I can share with you that I have provided the information about our development to the Lafayette Parish school system. And I can tell you that we have a phenomenal charter school company that is also making certain that we have classrooms for our kids to go to. But it's time that we look at parks and recreation through a similar lens. When you ask people why they want to live in Youngsville or why they choose to live in Youngsville, there's typically a couple of reasons. But they're all typically centered around quality of life, low crime. We don't want to take that for granted. A wise person once told me there's a thin veneer between civility and chaos, and we don't want to take our success for granted. That's why our council passed in this most recent budget benefits for our first responders that keep us on par with other departments. Specifically, the fire department, we've implemented a new competitive pay plan. We've improved their retirement, and we're adding 2 more firemen per shift to ensure that we are fire ready in the unfortunate event that someone's property catches fire in the city of Youngsville. In addition, the Youngsville Police Department, over a third of their vehicles will be modernized with new vehicles over the next calendar year, and Chief Boudreau and his team are also adding another officer to make sure that we're providing the right level of service for the residents of our community. So we know that that's being adequately addressed. what else do you hear about why do people want to live here? And they're really centered around quality of life initiatives. Well, the king of quality life initiatives is the Youngsville Sports Complex. This November makes 10 years since the citizens of Youngsville, in their wisdom, passed a 1 cent dedicated sales tax to fund recreational opportunities in our community. And I know that we would be remiss if we don't look at our current footprint for parks and recreation and expand that where appropriately to make sure that we're looking at it through the same lens as we do water and sewer and public safety. Parks and Rec is now being scrutinized under that same lens to ensure that the things that are working right today in Youngsville aren't just working right today, but they're working right beyond. Earlier, I mentioned that everything looks great when it's new, but I want to make sure that it looks great beyond new, and that when it's your 30-year mortgage, that you're still proud of the home you have and still proud to live in Youngsville. We're taking similar steps with the Youngsville Sports Complex. This fiscal year, there's going to be over $2.7 million of capital improvements invested in the Youngsville Sports Complex, ranging from 4 more fields at Sugar Beach, which is doing phenomenally well. We're also adding a splash pad that's been long awaited by some of our residents. And then we're also doing some other enhancements like fans under the bleachers and other things that collectively have a nice place to have it encompasses a nice recreation facility. The question then becomes, what else? I mentioned we have 85 acres available throughout the city of Youngsville that we acquired for drainage mitigation. And the challenge for me and for our leadership team has been, how do we dual purpose those facilities? The purpose was for drainage mitigation, but what else can we do with them now? Well, you may have heard me talk about some of the projects already. On East Milton Avenue, we're having a park, a nearly 3-acre park. One home is being relocated, one home is being torn down, I believe as early as this week, right near Route 92. That's going to be a large community fishing pond. Benefit for drainage, there'll be enough freeboard for drainage retention in that pond, but there's also going to be a recreational component. I'm pleased to share that we've engaged the services of Michael Cullen, who's a landscape architect, to design a destination park for us on the west side of our city on East Milton. I envision a community pond with a fishing pier and really a park that provides a sense of place through green space, passive berms, perhaps a gazebo, someplace that you want to go and fish or just use it as a passive green space and read a book. Secondly, I'm most proud we just closed within the last couple of days on an additional 2.368 acres of property on St. Blaise Avenue behind the new Morgan Street Dance Studio, which was Snap Fitness. We acquired that property, and we've also engaged the services of Michael Cullen, the landscape architect, to design a dog park for us in that area. The entire track's 4.368 acres. The back 3 acres is going to be designed for drainage, retention, or detention. I'm not sure the particular design that we have there. But then in addition to that, since we have frontage on St. Blaise, I'm really excited that we'll be able to offer a dog park in our community. So on the west side of our city, we're going to have a park green space with the pond, and we're also going to have a dog park that are both under design in this calendar year. You move around a little bit more. Foster Park, I know we've talked about it, and they've been documented quite a bit about improvements happening there. The $2.7 million in additional funding in Parks and Rec include a new restroom pavilion at Foster Park. You're also going to see the road in Foster Park redone, so that way those that are going to drop off at Green Tea Linden have a smoother ride to school in the morning and the evening. And we're also going to be adding hard surface parking there. And we're going to be adding connectivity through Foster Park to connect to the new subdivisions that are just due south that are under construction today. So that way there'll be more connectivity, not only into Foster Park, but into the heart of our community of Royville. Other parcels of property that the city has acquired for parks or for drainage mitigation, we know that there's other elements of recreation that we can incorporate, from disc golf to hiking trails. one parcel of property in particular on South of Riviere. Today I'm calling it Twin Lakes because there's a gas pipeline that goes through it. So there'll be two independent bodies of water. So we're, today calling it Twin Lakes, but we have 4 acres behind there that the city has acquired where we envision some sort of walking or nature trail through that wooded area. So we have a lot of focus happening on Parks and Rec and making certain that the success of today at the Youngsville Sports Complex is no longer limited to the sports complex, but that we're envisioning a more comprehensive approach for Parks and Rec. There's some nice things that we haven't really announced yet that we're awaiting some public-private partnership deals to be inked that are going to have some great connectivity of linear parks between Iberia Street and Savoy that we're really excited about as well. So in summary, I will tell you that the splash pad, the Sugar Beach expansion, the continued improvements at Foster Park, and just an overall enhanced focus on satellite parks throughout our city, the community pond, the dog park, the recreational trails are things that you can expect to see coming out of Youngsville over the next this year. Some of them will come into the market. And I would ask you, what questions about Parks and Rec are still unfunded, are not unfunded, but are still untapped? Where else do we still have a need there? You notice that we're still progressing with our sidewalk connectivity plan. We were just awarded the notice to proceed for the recreational trails grant, which is the grant that's going to connect between Foster Park and the Youngsville Sports Complex soccer parking lot. So great things happening there as well. But everything is really focused on what's the benefit for the residents and the citizens of Youngsville. We have got to do a better job of differentiating ourselves as a community that cares, as a community that is a desirable community where people want to be. So smallest initiatives from litter pickup to keeping the grass cut and keeping the curb appeal sharp are things that differentiate what makes Youngsville a nice community, coupled with adequate police and fire protection and investing in our first responders, coupled with making sure that that we're thinking ahead and planning ahead to where we're not just having cookie cutter neighborhoods for the next couple of decades. Those are a lot of the things that really consume a lot of my time and energy. And if we don't start focusing more intentionally on the future of Youngsville Parks and Recs, I think that that'll be one of the things that we really have some regret over in the future. So know that I'm focused like a laser on them. Our Youngsville Municipal Complex is underway. We broke ground. They're doing the dirt pad next door. Steel's been ordered, so you can expect to see vertical construction happening in the next, short time frame. In summary, there's a lot of great things, but I will leave you with the notion that success is never final. I don't take any of this for granted. I am blessed to have a great council. We're blessed to have great developers in Youngsville. We are more than blessed to have a vibrant business community that cares. We are fortunate to have just the right combination of the right ingredients that make a nice community. But let's not take it for granted. Let's continue to push ourselves and ask ourselves each and every day, how do we make it an even better community that we can be proud of, not just today, but in the future beyond? One question that I did get was, there's a lot of talk right now about ARP funds. ARP funds are federal funds that are COVID related to help communities, recover from the impacts of COVID. Know that I don't have a specific plan yet today on what to do with those funds. I believe we're expecting our first portion of those funds within the next few days. Parishes received half of theirs already, and I think some of the larger cities received theirs. Cities of our size, it's my understanding, we'll start seeing some of those funds soon. But with any government dollars, we want to ensure that we have our best foot forward and that we're spending the dollars what's most meaningful to our citizens, but also what's most appropriate within the prescribed use, like approved, really had little reference to those dollars, but know that yes, we are getting them, and yes, we will have a detailed plan of how how I'm requesting they be appropriated once we receive a little bit more guidance on how those dollars can be spent. I guess I said lastly a few times, I think, but I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment just to acknowledge the passing of Officer Randy Guidry from the Youngsville Police Department. Please continue to keep him in your thoughts and your prayers, his family. They are Youngsville residents with a young child and another one on the way. I don't think anyone needs to hear from a politician about how to make medical decisions for your own family. I would just encourage you to please give it some consideration and thought. I don't see a path to getting back to where we want to be with normalcy unless more people continue to take this spread of the virus COVID variant, the Delta variant, more seriously. I'm proud to say that I was vaccinated. If it's not the right choice for you today, I'm not passing judgment. I respect your decision. That's what makes America great, freedom. But sometimes if you don't want to hear it from elected officials, I would say follow directly from the medical experts. I want to applaud them, the leaders of not only our Lafayette hospitals, but also the larger hospitals throughout the state. Our Lady of the Lake in Baton Rouge is putting out some great information about those that are hospitalized, what their ages are, and how many are vaccinated or not. So I know people's positions are evolving on that. What's the future? Can we have Mardi Gras? Can we have a lot of events? I certainly hope so. But I trust the people of Youngsville and our area to make the right decisions that are right for them. I'm encouraged to see an increase of people that are choosing to get vaccinated every week. And I think that if we continue to see that path that we're on today of increased vaccinations, that these type of Zoom meetings can hopefully be limited and that we can be together celebrating our successes really soon. So with that, I'm going to leave that and I'll ask Jessica to perhaps ask if there's any questions. I will also share with you, if you don't have any questions for today's forum, please feel free to reach out to me at mayor@youngsvillela.gov or also just call City Hall and ask to speak with me. It's a pleasure and a privilege to serve the great community or great city of Youngsville. So thank you for affording me the opportunity.
Thank you always, Mayor Ritter, for being with us today. We did have one question from an attendee just now. They were inquiring about some of the new sidewalks that are being built, and they wanted to hear more about the sidewalk connecting Foster Park and the sports complex.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and that's one that I have to give kudos to our Director of Planning and Engineering, our City Engineer, Clint Semino. Clint applied for a grant through the Lieutenant Governor's Office, who's tasked with tourism, and the City of Youngsville was successful in receiving a $100,000 grant. It's a 8-foot wide recreational trail, basically a sidewalk from the back of Foster Park that'll go around the backside of Green Tea Linden down Railroad Street, which is across from the Youngsville Sewer Wastewater Treatment Plant. And then it'll cross over into the soccer parking lot at the Youngsville Sports Complex. Our goal there is to really provide connectivity. This is one that has been in our city's master plan since its adoption in 2015 or early 2016. The goal was really to provide connectivity for the citizens of Youngsville, all the Copperfield neighborhoods that can cross over by the post office and get into Royville. Now we'll have an opportunity to go into Foster Park, connect the recreational trail behind Foster Park, and come around Green Tea Linden and get directly to the Youngsville Sports Complex. You also have a similar route if you're coming from the Copper neighborhoods and that side of town to come into the Iberia Street sidewalk that's nearing completion that gets you to Sugar Mill Pond. The significance of Sugar Mill Pond as a hub is that Shimon-Metairie Parkway abuts Sugar Mill Pond. Shimon-Metairie Parkway abuts Sugar Mill Pond, where you have access to the bike trail, which is on the shoulder of Shimon-Metairie Parkway. We also have other sidewalk projects that are planned. You're noticing if you drive around town that we're doing some other connectivity projects, some small, some great. We've got connection on Shimon-Metairie Parkway from our city limits at Piper Crest, Laurel Grove Phase 3, now into Green Tea Elementary. We're also one of the projects that's really in the works that I didn't mention is we're are partnering with Louisiana Department of DOTD on some grant dollars. I think it's 1.7 million roughly that's available, where we'll do an overlay of East Milton 92. Hopefully add a turning lane if appropriate in a certain couple of areas, close in some of the ditches on the side, and I envision sidewalks coming from really Windermere, Cedar Hill, taking in the St. Blaise neighborhoods of Legacy Estates, Anslem, Chelsea Meadows, onto that corridor into Metairie Center. And then once you're in Metairie Center, you're at the Shimon-Metairie bike path with easy access to Sugar Mill Pond, to the Iberia Street sidewalk, or also the Foster Park trail. So, and then for my friends that live on Guillaume in the Belle Maison and Fairfax area, we're looking at some opportunities to connect by a pedestrian bridge, Fairfax into Foster Park. So basically, if you live in Belle Maison, you'd be able to get into cross Guillaume and get into Fairfax, take the pedestrian bridge into Foster Park, and then once again from Foster Park as your hub, you can get to other places of the community as well. So those are just some of the ones that are top of mind, but you will continue to see more of those initiatives. For a long time we heard, about the notion about sidewalks to nowhere. Well, I would tell you that all sidewalks are going to be to nowhere unless we make a concerted effort to ensure that that's what's important for the residents of our community. And I believe that it is.
Thank you, Mayor Ritter. As a resident of Youngsville, I know that I love seeing the sidewalks come up in our community. And also I find it's going to be very beneficial for our chamber members, for our businesses in Youngsville, so that people are more, able to connect between different parts of town via bike or walking and those things. So you love to see that come up. We had another question from one of our chamber members, and it's a question that I get asked a lot whenever either at events or even whenever I'm just out maybe shopping at New News. So I know that I've heard you speak on it, but maybe some of our other members haven't. So I'd like to hear it from you. He asked if you think that there is an even balance between our residential and our commercial development.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And, Jessica, that's one that's probably been debated for at least the decade now that I've been involved in Youngsville politics. 10 years ago, if you asked anyone that was involved in Youngsville leadership, there was a popular notion that we needed to be more like a neighboring community. And, once I started really quantifying what does that mean? What are you telling me? What they meant was we needed more businesses in the city of Youngsville. Well, if you were to do a SWOT analysis of Youngsville, probably more so at that time, it's no secret we don't have Highway 90, we don't have I-10, we don't have I-49. In fact, we're the only municipality in Lafayette Parish out of 6 that don't have I-10, I-49, or Highway 90 that run through it. But what we do have is a great wildcatter mentality from our previous leadership that invested in building Shimon-Metairie Parkway as a connector through our community. And what we also had was the right blend of developers, residents, and leadership that dispelled the notion that we had to be full of pipe yards and oil field businesses in order to see success. So instead, what I can tell you is we can be, and I'm proud to be, a bedroom community for for the city of Lafayette. Bedroom communities are something that, we don't really, we don't have to, we no longer have to cringe to say that. I think that we should embrace it. And I think that if we are a bedroom community for Lafayette, let's be the best bedroom community that we can be. And that's what takes you back to the quality of life initiatives of why people move for the low crime, the quality of life, the emphasis on parks and recreation. We had 5 tournaments over the past month, World Series events that LCVC, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, estimate the economic impact to be over $5.4 million for those 5 events alone. So the Youngsville Sports Complex is answering the question of what's in it for me. What's in it for me? I mean, for every individual, you should be able to ask yourself that question. If you're an empty nester, if you have no kids, if you have no desire to go do the walking trail, if you have no desire to go drop a fishing line, what's in it for you is to know that $5.4 million of economic impact are coming into Lafayette Parish because of a jewel of a property that you as a citizen of Youngsville own. So I would tell you, as evidenced by our sales tax numbers, where we're coming off of continuous, not anomalies, but continuous double-digit sales tax growth year over year, I would probably help make the case that the strategy that we have is working, because as rooftops come, services follow. You know, you probably heard me say before, when I first moved to Youngsville, you'd probably have to go to 2 gas stations if you could find the second one to put together a half-ass meal. You know, today you have a lot more choices in Youngsville on what you want to do. It's a destination, not only for professional services of your optometrist, of your doctor, you know, but there's a lot more things here that are bringing people into the community. So look, if Amazon calls me tomorrow and wants to have a facility here, I would gladly meet with them, and I'll be first one in line. But I will tell you that I think that the strategy we're on is working, but success is never final and it's not perfect. And, you know, we need to be able, just anyone in leadership needs to be fluid and know that, you know, we need to respond to that. You know, I'll also share, you know, the city council, when the timing was appropriate, at times when we thought we were being too heavy with residential, we offered incentives for commercial development, waiving fees for, I think it was over a 2-year period, to help try to spark some development for small business and entrepreneurs. We knew that those permit fees could be better invested back into your people, your products, or your profit if necessary. I mean, businesses are in business to make profit. So say that then. And, you know, those permit fees are better in your hands to where you can invest back into the business that you love. So I think you have a city council that are going to continue to look at those type of initiatives to make sure that we don't get too off balance. Some other things that we've worked up now, residential developments have to save the front 200 feet if they're on a major arterial for commercial development. And that's, you know, been unpopular with some of our residential developers, because they know they can flip the lots to homes quickly. But what we're asking and requiring developers to do now is to save that frontage. We know there's a longer absorption period for commercial development, but what we're telling them or mandating them to do now is to save it and have, so that way we'll have property available in this particular case along Shimon-Metairie Parkway or Youngsville Highway or wherever it is. So I think we never have enough business, but I don't think we're doing so bad when you look at the sales tax growth year over year, since that is one of the measurements. I'm frequently asked for traffic counts in front of some of the commercial parcels that are available for sale. So I do know there's a lot of activity out there, but it's not singularly being slowed down because of anything that we're doing at Youngsville City Hall. Youngsville City Hall owns very little property, minus the drainage properties that I mentioned to you earlier. Developers, you know, are offering their price in some cases at a premium that comes into play. And the metrics today may simply not work for certain parcels of property to be developed commercially. So there's a myriad of circumstances there. I would dispel the notion that we don't have more commercial development because of anything that, because we're making it more difficult. In fact, I would make the argument to say the opposite. But we would welcome anyone that wants to invest in a business in Youngsville. That is often what my meetings and my days consist of, is helping entrepreneurs see their concept go to CO. So I would welcome that meeting.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor Ritter, for answering that question. And just to reiterate on some of the things you said, when you mentioned the tournaments that we've had recently, the past few weekends from the sports complex, I've heard from so many of our members the increase that they saw. You know, they said, we need the calendar so we can staff up and be prepared, because, you know, all of those tournaments, that is what helps, fuel our local economy, and our members are telling us that. So I'm excited to hear about the expansion at the sports complex so that we can welcome more of these tournaments and, more tourists to come into our area and to shop at all of our local stores. So on that note, I think that we can go ahead and wrap up today's update. Thank you again, Mayor Ritter, for being here today, for always making yourself available not only to the chamber but to all the residents of Youngsville. Thank you to our city council for all of the decisions that y'all make that keep the residents and our business owners with the best interest in mind. As Mayor Ritter mentioned before, the Youngsville Chamber of Commerce has started a new business initiative called Certified Sweep Program. This is an initiative that we started to highlight products that are made locally here in the 70592 area code. So if you would like to hear more about our business initiative, please feel free to reach out to me here at the Youngsville Chamber of Commerce. I'd love to give you more information. Thank you again, Mayor Ritter, for being here today with us. And thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks.
Thank you.